Moving to the other side of the world is tough. We know this from our own experience of moving to Australia during a global pandemic. To help you decide whether a life down under is for you, this series aims to share with you the highs and the lows of the migration journey, hoping to help and inspire you to make the move yourself. If you're already thinking about moving to Australia, or you're not sure where to start, then this episode is sponsored by TrueBlue Migration Services. Speak to them today and mention us and you will get a free visa assessment where they'll be able to tell you all of your options for moving to this beautiful country. Speak to them now on their website at truebluemigration.com. Our guest today is right in the middle of the migration process. They only had their skilled migration visa approved last month. What is it like for someone right in the middle of the process of moving to Australia? I guess we'll find out. G'day Magda, how's it going?
Hi Rose, good day. Yeah, it's not bad. A little bit cold here. As you can see, I'm dressed up for UK style. You're in your t-shirts. But yeah, all good today.
How cold is it at the moment in the UK?
Pretty much, I feel freezing. I'm from Poland, and everybody says, "Oh, you should be used to the cold." I'm like, no, I'm never used to the cold. I'm cold, and I think it's about 2 degrees, 7 degrees. I don't know. To me, freezing.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to know how warm it was here today? We're in a mini heat wave, apparently.
Yeah, rub it in.
Yeah, it was 36, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was
Yeah,
quite nice.
thanks.
Speaking of Poland, though, that was the coldest I have ever been.
Have you been to Poland? Wow.
Yeah, I have. I've been to Krakow. Beautiful city. Loved it.
And in the winter.
But it was so cold.
Yeah, but...
yeah. No, it was like October.
Rose, but our cold is different. Our cold is dry cold. It doesn't qualify. I'm freezing in UK. Or is it just me getting old and I haven't been in Poland for 18 years and I just don't know what it is anymore?
Yeah, well, the fact that the energy bills in England are so expensive that you probably haven't got your heating on. Can't afford it.
It's intermittent. It's on and off. I am thinking of buying like a pedaling bike to just start powering my own power or something while I'm exercising. That would be a good idea for business, I think, in UK at the moment.
Here, it's just can we put the aircon on for longer? Because it's it's not too warm. It's just warm.
Yes. The thing is, after the last UK heat wave this summer, I have seriously, for the first time, started to question whether I really want to go to Australia. But I thought, you know what, let me just blame it on we are not prepared.
Yeah, and there's, for everything in England that is there to help you be warmer, it exists here to be colder, if you like. And you just get used to it. Like tomorrow, it's supposed to be in the 30s. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drink beer in the pool. That's it.
I don't think everything is
How privileged.
Nothing, yes, rub it in. Nothing in here is prepared for cold, actually, because we live in the house that is not insulated. It doesn't have the cellar. It's in a protected area because it's like a conservation area. Beautiful to look at. Not very livable. Extremely cold. And every time I heat up my house, I feel like I'm just heating up the garden for neighbors or something. It just evaporates in seconds. And it took me, it was like a war zone to get the windows fitted, like double glazed, because we originally had the original, the iron windows when we moved in. We literally felt the breeze just blowing through. It was like an outdoor experience all 24/7. So no, we're not prepared for cold. I'm cold. Full stop. I have heaters on all the time.
Well, hopefully it won't be long until you do make the move yourself. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Magda, as you heard from Rose, so Magdalena. I'm originally from Poland. I came to UK in 2004 and with intention of not staying, but just visiting. And then I ended up here 20 years later because I sort of got my first job on the second day I've arrived, some washing dishes job, because I just finished a high school in Poland and I decided not to apply for uni. And my parents backed me on the coach and they were like, yeah, she'll be back 2 weeks. Well, 20 years later, not only I'm not back, but I'm telling them I'm going across the world. After 2 university degrees from UK, I finally feel settled so that I can leave for Australia. That's me. I have a family. My husband wanted to be here. He was really gutted when I told him I'm having this meeting with Rose, and I think he just looked so sad. He loved the videos. And he wanted to be a part of it.
I'm sorry to make him sad.
He was so sad. I've shipped him off to work and I didn't book it for the evening. Maybe the next one. It would be nice to show him because I think he's got his... he believes the Australia is our destiny and it was part of his plan. And also I have 2 beautiful kids, mixed race children. My husband is originally from Nigeria. We've met 13 years, no, 11 years ago, something counting. Yeah, we settled in Surrey in England.
Tell us a little bit about your life in the UK.
At the moment, it's all about. I feel like in a bit of a rat race to make money to meet ends, so it's not very exciting life. I don't want to sound ungrateful by all means, and I'm also a believer, so I thank God for everything I have, and I've been given all the great opportunities. I am presently working as an ICU nurse in the hospital near Sutton, and before that, I've done like 3 other years of nursing, but I always have to patch it up with so many extra jobs. Like the last conversation with HMRC I had was hideous because he just went, well, but you have all this big income, like you've exceeded the 40% bracket, look at you, what's the money problem? And I was like, yeah, like working in 6 jobs, have you noticed? So I literally killed myself 6 days a week to make enough to just apply for the visas and bits for Australia. So not very fun. We try our best to commit some time to some pleasure. So I think the last year I've tried to spend swimming in David Lloyd's, dreaming about Australia while I'm doing so. And kids loved it. We go to the parks with kids. We play football. Obviously, UK's got amazing parks as well. Never mind the cold and the rain.
Does it?
Not at all. Last year we were literally like, my son was like, Mommy, I'm so cold, I just want to go home. And I'm like, please just enjoy the football. And no, we can't enjoy it really. It's a struggle. I mean, I think some people just feel warm regardless. We just don't. And my husband, being from Nigeria, he also just yearns for sunshine. So we go out pretty much like once a week on Saturday to do some football. And luckily we do have a massive garden. It's humongous and it's on a private road. So we do spend a lot of outdoors. And the minute the sunshine comes out in UK, we like junkies outside. Like, yes, come and give us sunshine for like 3 days. And it's like, oh, it's gone again. So it just feels like, yeah, we're trying to enjoy it, but it's a bit of a struggle. And we're never able to afford holidays. We haven't been anywhere for ages. And when we do finally like manage to put together just a little bit of money, we end up always going Poland or Nigeria, because obviously that's where the family is and they expect us to come. We're saying this, we really have been into Nigeria like once, because it's also £5,000 for flights and the political instability and whatever issues.
You've talked about this kind of daily grind, wanting to spend time outside, really not used to the weather. I mean, are there any other important reasons for your move to Australia?
We have spent the good part of 11 years chasing the mortgage ladder, and we finally on it. And then it just felt like, because we actually lived in the house we bought it from our landlord as a nice discounted price, but it just felt like, what is going on? 11 years, the walls look the same, the house is the same, everything is the same. Why is it double in price? Where are the extra rooms? Like, we can't find anything extra. Nothing has grown in terms of like real value for us. So we just pretty much spent something, well, not nearing $500,000, but going for, because it's 3-bedroom, 84 square meters. We gave like 400 grand. Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, this mortgage, we put the large lump sum, but it was such a race. Exhausting. And then at the end we got an offer, and then we're like, yeah, got an offer finally. And then the year has gone by and we're about to sign the mortgage, and they go like, oh no, we're withdrawing the offer. We're like, what? And they say, oh, because your husband is a year older, so he no longer can take a mortgage for 28 years. Now you need the mortgage for 27 years. So you can't afford it. It was like a really bad dream. I thought, you must be kidding me. And that's how I see myself and my family. And basically I'll have to fork out definitely $1 million to make my dreams come to fruition. And I don't think they're greedy dreams. I just think, they basic. Like yourself, I watched your move, just having the one extra room for family to come, having your own yard, having this comfort to put a bigger fridge. Is it that fancy? I don't know.
Yeah, no, we felt exactly the same where we used to live, Tadley, so just outside Reading. Kind of similar house prices, I think, to what you're saying.
Reading.
Probably the same in most of the southeast of England.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that for what we had, I think ours was maybe 84 square meters, a 3-bed semi-detached. And I just kind of thought to myself, do you know what? I think this is it. Like, I'm working as hard as I can, doing all the little kind of, I mean, I used to do extra exam marking and tutoring on the side. I was like, is this it? Is this all we can afford? I mean, I even bought that house with the view that perhaps one day I could have afforded a few £100,000 extension on the side, and then we could have made it that little bit bigger. But then, even then, so we're talking about what, improving the size to 124 square meters, adding that much on. I mean, don't get me wrong, that would have still been a big house. And I agree with you. You kind of get to that stage where you think, oh, I don't want to be sounding ungrateful. But in Australia, I mean, unless you want to live in the city, like city, 120 square meters is small. Like, if you want to live in the suburbs of most of the bigger cities, like 120 square meters is small.
Yeah.
Our rental when we first came here was bigger than our house that we moved from in the UK. You still get the same sentiment in Australia where lots of people are struggling to get onto the housing ladder. And I agree, because that is literally the situation that we came from in the UK. But for us that are making that move, it's kind of, well, if I can't afford anything better in the country that I'm in, we live in a globalized world. You've already moved one country. Well, I'll just move again. Where can I go that's going to afford me the lifestyle that I want? Tell us about your migration journey so far.
So it's all just started in 2019 and got postponed. Obviously, it started first somewhere as a little idea conceived at the back of our head on the basis of mainly the weather and the housing. I've mentioned it to my husband in 2019, briefly, like, oh, maybe when I've done enough experience, we could apply. And he was like, yeah, do you know what? Before I came to UK, I have applied for originally for Australia and Canada, or considered applying for uni there, because he came to do his master's here. And he says it was so difficult to get to Australia, but I've always wanted to. I thought, oh, good. I didn't expect this to be his reaction, really. I didn't have any conception. And he was so supportive, full on from the start. And he was like, yeah, we're going to try. I thought, there isn't that many things that we agree on. So that was really, yes. I thought, oh, that was easy. Like, I came ready for 3 years of fight, convincing, arguments, showing, more talk, and a little bit more talk. And maybe finally he'll be like, okay. But no, he was like, oh yeah, I like that too, sunshine and so on. And that was it. So I started the process, and then pandemic kicked in. And I left the process, and I had my fair share of COVID. I'm not even going to go into this sad stories. It was horrendous. And then we came out the other side, and I've restarted my APRA application. So I started with APRA, which is an equivalent, for those who don't know, of UK NMC, so Nursing and Midwifery Council in UK, and you need an APRA registration to be practicing healthcare practitioner in Australia. So it's for...
So that's your skills assessment, is it?
No, that one is your...
No? Okay.
So that's a little bit different. So the skills assessment is ANMAC. So ANMAC is apparently kind of like a left hand of APRA with another hand into somewhere else, bureaucracy. And basically APRA is a regulator that oversees later your day-to-day activities as a professional. Yes, they still assess your skills, but it's from a different angle. Is to say that you are free to practice, and they're going to give you a pin to practice. It is skills purely for the job, but coming from UK, you cannot move on without the ANMAC. I'm not sure what the acronym stands for in ANMAC, but that's the skills assessment for transfer. So the other one, the first one, APRA, they want to also know, like, are you of a good character? Yes, you have a language and element of education. But basically what they say is when we give you the pin and freedom to practice, we're going to oversee your conduct. That's the main part. Whereas ANMAC is just, we're going to look at your qualifications, and we're going to look at your experience, and we're going to get all this assessed and get big statements from all your previous employers, and we're going to decide whether you can migrate. I don't know how many papers. I just lost the count now. I'm drowning.
So where exactly are you in the process now then, after you getting all these
So
different registrations?
got my APRA pre-approval with a note that to control the spread of COVID, you can, because one of the requirements to finish completely the APRA and get full approval is to present in person with an ID. And there's a nice note from them saying that to prevent the spread of COVID, you don't have to present in person. You can do it via video link like we're doing now. But there's a but, only if you live in Australia. I booked a flight for next week.
Have you ever been to Australia?
No. And I
Wow.
just always explain to myself, I've never been to UK, and look at me now, 20 years later, still here when I first came.
So once
So
you've
that should be good.
presented,
hmm
what's the next steps then after that? How far away are you from getting your visa?
So they rechecking again at presentation. They also like rechecking stuff about NMC and your. So I have also conviction. I wanted to mention this because I know there's a lot of talk on by people from nursing professions, teachers, doctors on different forums, the POMs in Oz and so on, about, what do you do when you have a conviction? So I actually have a conviction that is spent, is 11 years old now, for something related to not reporting something on time. I got absolute discharge disposal. So that means it's like immediately spent, and essentially you have no repercussions, because I had a very viable explanation that I had a recording of me reporting it just to the wrong office. I claimed something in the job seeker office and I reported it back to the job seeker when I had a change. Then when I saw no change on the account 3 months later, I went back and they say, oh no, you're supposed to go somewhere else now. I'm like, but I've applied here. And they took this as, they tried to basically make it way bigger than it was and so on. So I ended up with conviction, but the judge have taken into consideration that there was a recording and gave me like a light disposal. It didn't stop me from getting what I needed from APRA. So I've just disclosed it. I gave them straight away the copy of my DBS before they even asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
So in UK is DBS and you paid by the employer for it. In Australia, in contrast, you have to pay for your own checks, and it's done by, for example, AIS company. So that's the one I did it with. And it's a lot more expensive. I think it cost me about $350. If I'm not mistaken, it was dollars or pounds. I can't remember now, but quite expensive. And then to my shock and disbelief, and somebody has said that on one of the forums, it came back as I don't have any conviction. So I'm very confused. Yes, and now I'm quite worried because I'm here at the stage where I'm going to go and tell them, no, I do have a conviction, which I showed you before.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like, is there going to be like let's see if she has like hidden it before. Is there a mistake? Is there really her name? I don't know, because I think what happens is they do, 5-year check.
Yeah.
Because the questions is in the last 5 years, not have you ever.
Yeah.
But in terms of asking you, they say, have you ever had any? And of course, you got to be honest. I had, which NMC knew about when I was registering with UK. It's been 11 years. I've shown good character since. I always straight away, also for those who have the same problem, I just attach my statement of explanation what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I preempted it. I said, I showed the remorse, understanding that my ignorance about things at the time really was kind of language related and life problems related, not really ignorance. I was actually busy looking for a job, not staying on benefits as well. And I got a job shortly after. And that's why I reported that I have a job, but it was like part-time. So I said to the judge at the time, and that's why I always write, I actually have been busy getting a job, not like looking into how to prolong this benefit situation or how to exactly
I'm not
report
trying to sponge off the system.
No.
I mean, this whole process, it sounds like you've been doing everything yourself. Have you not used a visa agent at all?
I've not used the visa agent at all, because as a nurse, normally hospital has got designated visas team that will deal with it. And so so for now they promise so. But now I'm trading on.
So they have their own visa agents, if you like, that are helping to manage all of your cases. So you are, but you're not really.
This is the thing. I found that a little bit surprising that it went from. I didn't find that very transparent, that they were not like, just bear in mind, if you don't take this A&E post, we may not be able to offer you something else. And they were not very transparent on this. And I felt they didn't really say like clearly things like and we've already recruited so much that down the line, because they know that down the line we might not be able to offer, so you're really best of taking it. But the other companies, I think, a little bit more to the point with that. Anyway, so there is this hurdle I'm in the middle of now. I'm flying next week. I still do have a general job offer for the previous company, but they're now sort of looking for like any placement to pop me into anywhere. Fair enough. I don't want to sound desperate, like I'm going to take it anywhere. But like you said, once I step my foot there, I mean, the world is my oyster. I don't know.
I think that's one of the key things really for moving here. I mean, it sounds like is your biggest worry, if you like, having employment here, or is it getting a visa?
I think I always work on step ladder in my head. So of course, at the beginning, my biggest worry was the regulator. I've jumped the hoop. Now my biggest worry was ANMAC. I'm gonna say the last thing about ANMAC for those who need ANMAC is that the biggest problem was not that ANMAC wants like proof that you've worked for 3.5 years. Is in my case, I actually had 3 employers, or 4 by now, because 6 months after I had COVID, I had to leave by means of health thing. So I ended up with 1 year, 1 year, and 1 year with different employers. So you need 3 references, and basically you find yourself relying on the good heart and the goodwill of others to do it for you. And here where I feel there was a lot of stress involved, because in UK it's not a legal requirement for someone to do your references. And they would never maliciously refuse if they don't have basis, and I don't have any cautions. I always have excellent work record and excellent report. But it's just quite, as you know, Australia by now, there's a lot of paperwork involved. So these people are being asked to write a lot, and they really want to be busy with their stuff and getting new stuff since I'm leaving. And that's why I've explained to this company, like saying, look, I'm not saying that my referees don't want to do it or something, because it was taking time and things. I said, it's just the reality in UK. The market for nurses is so hard, exhausted. Everybody is burnt out, and it's so difficult.
The last thing someone wants to do is a reference.
Exactly. And you're only telling them you're leaving, but also now you're on their case. Instead of them looking for a new person to replace you, they have to pick up your slack and do your job very soon. And on top of it, they're probably a little bit jealous that you're going and they're not. Some of them even said it. And then you're now asking them to just keep writing and keep writing and keep writing and sending. So I'm worried about that.
I used to write the reference for them and just say, can you sign it?
I had to do this with one of them. I said, just change what you need to change. I had to,
yeah, this is what I need. Can you sign it, please? If you're not happy signing it, don't sign it.
I did like a template for them for Unmac.
Yeah.
I did, because it was PDF, which meant they would have to do the templates. I sort of transferred and put the bullet points of what they need to add. And for one of them, I helped them, because actually my manager, their English wasn't very good. He didn't come in the time of IELTS, and there was a struggle with him actually writing that kind of stuff. And I empathize and sympathize. I mean, like, why do these people owe me like pages and pages of things for Australia? They don't.
Where in Australia have you got your future plans? Have you decided yet?
Totally, our mind is set on Perth. We just want Perth, okay. Yeah, because we just really yearning for a life of lesser of a metropole. We've been on suburbs of London, but very much London working, and for a long time is huge, is exhausting, and it's tight. And I'm developing slow sort of people's panic claustrophobia thing when I'm just passing like hundreds of people on the pavement. I'm like, where are these people coming from? I just want a little bit of space. And I would want a
little bit of space, move to the big country town.
Yeah, so Perth. And I looked at Brisbane because you're there, but our heart is sort of set in Perth. And when you have an idea, that you just kind of go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from my perspective, I think, we live in the suburbs, like really quite far north. And even compared to where we live we lived in Reading at first, then we had to move just outside because of, finances and trying to be able to afford something. And I'd probably go as far as to say that this is probably the busiest place I've ever lived in my life. And yeah, it's not necessarily so big. So it sounds like you've kind of gone through the wars with all of your application processes and trying to get your visa. And I'm sure eventually you're going to get one because we need nurses. But other than that, what would you say has been your biggest challenge so far with your move?
I would say the applications, really. Essentially, I think APRA was the longest and the hardest, and that's been the first and probably the most crucial stage, because apparently you can go initially without ANMAC, which again I didn't know. I feel APRA was nerve-wracking in that sense, because without APRA you can't be a nurse in Australia. Biggest part was about my degree, because I have an unusual degree comparing to others. So there were people in the past that actually got refused with postgraduate diploma in nursing. Caution here, not diploma in nursing, postgraduate diploma in nursing.
Okay.
Either the rules have changed or there is some confusion about what PGDIP is versus diploma is. So as its already name suggests, you have to have previous degree, and actually it doesn't differ much from BSc. And I know that there were people that said the regulator said no when they had PGDIP. Well, my one said yes, but I've also done some extra work to convince them before they even asked. So I have applied to uni to give me like an extra a plan that is created for teachers and the director of the nursing faculty. And I sent them that massive plan of the course. So it was just described in super detail with all my hours, and I've even submitted all my practice hours to them just to preempt sort of any problems and try to do damage control, and it worked.
We have a similar thing with teaching, and that lots of teachers from the UK are 3-year trained. Like standard degrees are just 3 years. So we've got lots of teachers, normally primary school teachers. They'll do like a BEd, be qualified as a teacher in Australia, in the UK, and not be qualified in Australia, because in order to register as a teacher, you have to have a 4-year degree. So for me, as a secondary teacher, which is the main route that people would follow, is they'd get their normal degree and then they do their year as their PGCE or something equivalent, and then that would get you to your 4 years because you've done 4 years at university. Obviously, you have to get the paperwork through saying, was it full time, all that kind of stuff, and I had to get that from the university. But I guess it's a similar thing for you with nursing, that it's a challenge when what we think we're qualified to do our jobs. Of course we are. Why are we not qualified? And then we have to go through these extra hoops to jump to get to Australia, and then to have someone tell you, oh no, actually that qualification that you worked really, really hard for, it's not valid here, or you need to go and do something else. So we get lots of teachers having to, if they can't do a PGC because they're already a qualified teacher, they're having to think of things like, oh, okay, so do I have to do a master's degree or something like that to get that extra 4 years? But let's talk about Perth anyway. What are you expecting your new life to be like in Perth?
Oh, I'm hoping to maybe find losing weight a little bit easier, because I'm going to swim. That's the plan. I'm going to swim. Amazing. I'm going to have maybe like swimming pool or jacuzzi. Oh, this is the good part. So, oh gosh, I have these dreams of...
Why not both? We've got both.
I've seen your jacuzzi and your pool. But well done, Ross. Maybe both, fingers crossed. I mean,
thanks.
I'll be just grateful for the beach and the outings as well. But the kids are desperate for the pool. They swim and they just want it. And I'm hoping to start cycling more, because I won't be scared coming out, because I'm just deterred by the weather. And yeah, I hope it to be like having solid 2 days with family, or even 3 days, and perhaps my husband can work less hours. He does sort of 10 hours 5 times a week, and he's aiming for maybe mining or other. He needs to do skills assessment when he comes. He's got 6.5 years experience as electrician here, and we hoping his salary should eventually exceed mine, and perhaps then I could take a career break that I've never had when my kids were born.
Yeah, no, electricians are fantastically in demand as well. And I guess if you live in Perth, I mean, I'd argue if he ends up being more fly in, fly out, that might be a little little bit contradictory to the work-life balance that you're looking for. But then, you know, some people actually don't mind that, in the sense where daddy isn't here for the time that he's out working, but then when he comes back, we have him completely. Like, I've often toyed with that. Not that you get fly in, fly out teachers, but it's the same as us, really. We're working hard when the term is on, and then we don't work as hard when the holidays are here. So it's kind of a similar type of thing, really.
When you say fly in, fly out, what are you referring to? Sorry?
So fly in, fly out for mining in particular is whereby there are a lot of big mines in Western Australia, and they're out in the sticks. You know, they're multiple hours away, hundreds if not thousands of kilometers away. So a lot of the workers will fly in to wherever the mine is. They might be rostered on for a few weeks, a month at a time, and then they'll go back. And that's essentially why they have such high wages, because it's to account for all of the time that they're not with their families, and they're working while they're on site, really.
Just like on the rig in UK when you go to the sea.
Basically like that. Basically like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What has surprised you the most about the whole moving process?
Recently, a little thing. There is actually a company that came to my house I thought I have to like pack things and do things myself in terms of shipment and like measure stuff and all that. But there are companies that just come. So I had this company come into my house. They measured everything. They just tick what I want to take. And they just gave me valuation with the car, without the car. We're going to unpack it for you when you reach the other side. I was impressed. I thought, wow, this is good.
You're going to use them?
I'm going to use them because I just saw myself trekking back and forth with boxes and trying to shop for how I'm going to pack my chandelier, because I have to take a few items that I'm silly sort of attached to form. But yeah, it's really good. I thought, wow, really good. Really good. I'm still impressed. They came and they just followed me around the house, and they said, and this Optiman box, I'm like, yes, yes. And this mirror, I'm like, yes, yes.
Wow.
So
that
was quite cool.
Do you know what? That was one of the most hectic parts of the process. Even us just having a small move cube and having to pack it all ourselves and label it all ourselves. So the whole idea
They're doing everything.
Yeah.
They're doing everything. They're even labeling. They bring boxes for you. Yeah. I thought, wow.
Yeah, no, I'm one of these people now that I kind of, if you want something done properly, then you're going to have to pay a little bit of money. And that's why I'm so adamant that if you're going to move to the other side of the world and you want to get it right, then, you know, maybe a visa agent might be a good thing for you. So I know there's going to be lots of people out there that just don't want to have to deal with some of the extra hassles. What is that company?
I think it's called PSS Shipping.
Okay. Thanks, Magda, for sharing your journey with us so far, and I hope it's given you all a greater insight in what's required if you want to move over here as a nurse. I had no idea how much more detailed the application process would be, especially when it's one of the most in-demand professions to move to Australia at the moment, and probably will be ever. I wish Magda and her family all the best, and I can't wait to speak to her when she's finally moved to Australia. If you want to see more of what our life is like in Australia, then you can check out our YouTube channel, That Johnston Life. And if you've been inspired to see if you can make the move too, then make sure to speak to our friends, True Blue Migration Services, and let them tell you for free your best options for moving to Australia. I already know personally through this channel we've been able to help so many people make the move, but if you want to see more, then follow the hundreds of positive reviews on Google by filling out their free visa assessment form at www.truebluemigration.com. See you next time.